come to a different spot? Come on. Come on. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. Come on.
They're way up in there where I can't get to them.
Yeah, you gotta be careful picking these. These will bite you.
You want a blackberry too?
Yeah, she said, what y'all got? These cows crack me up. Look at them. They're like the nosiest creatures that ever was. Well, welcome back, y'all. Me and Andy came out this morning and, well, I had a hankering for a blackberry cobbler this evening, and I said, well, there's plenty down there in that growed up spot, so here we are. So when I was a kid, now it's just this how much times have changed. My favorite thing to do, well, I say a kid, I was probably 12 years old, 13. I would take off on my horse, and I knew where all the good blackberry patches were. Be gone most of the day now, no cell phone, no nothing, gone on a horse. And that's what I would do.
Probably never once worried about you.
I don't know, Mama was talking about the other day, she said, I used to sit here at the window and hold my breath till you got home. That's what I always think of though when I go to picking wild blackberries, is that was my thing. I would take off. Me and Quasi, the same horse I still have.
So it's kind of hard to find blackberries on our property because we keep everything mowed, and blackberries tend to grow places where stuff's not mowed and kept up or whatever. And it actually takes 2 years for blackberries to make, so they have to grow up 1 year, and then the next year they set their fruit, just like a thornless blackberry would. So I know things around here look a little unkept. Well, we're actually on a little strip that our neighbor owns. It doesn't belong to us, but we've got a wire run up through here and just kind of turn the cows on it from time to time.
Well, it just kind of keeps it clean, cleaner.
Cleaner, yeah. I mean, It's by no means is it clean.
I just want to show you real quick the size of the wild blackberries this year. Now, that's a good size wild one.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one for a wild one.
Boy, it's good.
I'm starting to wonder if this fence has got any power on it. Because that bull just rode right up against it.
Is that the bull or is that hamburger?
Maybe it is hamburger.
That's hamburger.
Yeah, that's hamburger. He's got so big, I couldn't tell him from the bull.
I know.
I need to get in there. Right there's some pretty big ones.
Is it? Now, some of them I've eaten. I guess it depends on the bush. Some of them ain't been great, but then...
You know, some of these wild ones look different than the other wild ones.
Well, I don't even think
some of them are a little smaller, tighter berry, and some of them are bigger.
Well, see, I think some of them are wild blackberries and some of them are dewberries.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I think the little ones are dewberries.
Yeah. Boy, they're good. I ain't gonna have enough to make a cobbler. I just stand here and eat them.
I know. Let's see what we got.
They got enough for me a nice cobbler.
Yep.
I think that's what I'm gonna do with them anyway. I love blackberry cobbler.
We could have probably picked and fill up that bucket 3 or 4 times, but we got what we need. Now it's time to move on to something else. Probably not the most ideal grazing for cattle, but apparently they're finding something in there to eat on, because every one of them's got their mouth full.
At least a change of scenery for them. They're used to moving all the time. They're like, what is this?
Probably.
Where are we going next? I gotta figure out what container to...
Well, we gotta dig some of those potatoes. We're gonna pull our carrots. And you said you probably got some tomatoes to pick. I don't know, we got all kinds of things. And to be honest, I think thanks to the comments, y'all talked me into trying some Silver Queen in the raised bed, so we might even throw that in there towards the end of the video.
Yep.
So we're gonna go out here. I think first chore we're gonna do is dig up some of these red potatoes. Well, actually all the red potatoes. Now our potato patch up the road, I know we haven't showed y'all that in quite a while, but it has looked amazing all year long. and the potato vines are finally starting to die back some. So I imagine in probably another month we'll be digging those. It might not be quite a month. It just depends on how the vines look. Now this bed, I'm not gonna lie, it's something I really don't care to show y'all, but you're gonna see it anyways.
We're gonna have to dig these too. They getting on top of the ground.
Are they?
We probably should dig those too.
Well, we might just dig those too then.
Yeah.
I think they're done. But look at this. This raised bed has turned pretty much into a Bermuda grass bed. And there was a viewer who said, you should put something under them beds to keep the weeds and stuff from growing up through them. And I said, it ain't no weeds gonna grow through a foot of soil. Ha! Guess what? I was wrong. So, if you make raised beds that are only a foot deep, make sure you put something under them to keep the weeds from growing up through, because now I've got a terrible, terrible Bermuda grass problem here that's gonna have to be dealt with. So I guess that's the other downside to putting potatoes in raised beds, is it's a little bit harder to heal them when they're in a bed like that.
Yeah, and they want to come up.
And you end up having potatoes that come to the top of the ground.
Yeah. And potatoes and sunlight do not go together.
Not at all.
A lot of these I've dug, so I'll be interested to see how many times. We've eaten several meals out of this here.
Yeah, we have. But they've all got that alligator skin on. That one's actually got it pretty bad.
Well, they still eat the same.
Yeah, they do.
Look at that one.
That's a good sized red potato there.
For as awful as these vines look the entire time.
I hate Bermuda grass. That is the most aggravating stuff ever. So I can't remember if it was on our Facebook or if it was on somebody else's YouTube or somewhere, but it might have actually just been a post on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
But I seen a person who was, I think they said Michigan. They were from Michigan, but they moved to Tennessee. And they were asking, like, what do you guys do about this grass, about Bermuda grass? He's like, where I'm from in the colder climate, like, we've never had to worry about grass that spreads by rhizomes or runners or whatever you call them. And he said, I don't know how to handle it. And I'm like, yeah, it's a pain. That's what I was thinking.
You know how many times I've come to this exact corner and dug out potatoes? Several times, and I keep finding potatoes.
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
It's amazing how well these things done, no better than they
As bad as they've looked the whole season. But they served their purpose. I wanted them for new potatoes, and
that's pretty much what you done with them.
Yep.
Look, that one's already growing back.
Yeah, I had one like that too. So what would happen then? Because do we have time for another potato crop?
Probably, but I've never had much success with it. I tried it one year in a bed to grow a fall crop, and it just didn't
do well.
It never did well. It took them forever to actually sprout. I don't know if it was too hot for them or what. But time-wise, yeah, I'd say we got time. Just never had no luck with it. My uncle left them in the ground one year and never got them up, and ended up getting them up the following year.
I remember that.
Yeah, he planted his potatoes and left them in the field and never dug them. And then went back the following year, and after they came back up and dug them up after that.
Will you put them in the pan for me? How much hay did you end up getting this time altogether? I ain't counted them all.
So total, out of all the acreage we mowed, I figured it up a while ago, it was actually about 30 acres of hay. Maybe just a little bit less, maybe more like 28, something like that. But a total, off of all that, we had roughly 80 to 85 bales.
Oh, it did that good?
Yeah, that's counting the few 4x5 bales that Daddy had to do for me. But most of those are 4x4 bales.
That's
so
pretty
if
good.
it had all been 4x4s, it probably would have been more like 90, something like that. 95.
But we don't know yet how many of them it takes us to get through the winter,
No, we don't, because
we ain't never.
them 4x4 rolls have a lot less hay than the 4x5s. Even though there's only a foot difference, it's quite a bit less hay in them. Plus, Daddy's rolls are a lot tighter than mine, so he's able to cram a lot more hay into the bale.
I can't reach right. See that spot
I'll
right
see
there?
if I can get it. Right in here.
Yeah.
But yeah, total, and that was roughly about 15 acres of fertilized ground that turned off really good, and then about 12 to 13 acres of ground that was not fertilized that didn't turn off quite as much as it could have. However, still done good. Not complaining with it.
Yeah, I think that sounds really good.
And it's something else that we've been working on quite a bit lately that we hadn't really shared, just because it's, once again, y'all,
not everything makes it to the YouTube
exactly
world.
It don't. Sometimes we just try to get things done. But we've been cultivating the corn, so all of the corn, all of my, when I say corn, I mean my field corn, not sweet corn. Field corn has been cultivated one time.
Now, for those people that don't know, because we get this question a lot whenever we talk about field corn, sweet corn, what is the difference?
Well, the biggest difference is field corn you let dry in the field when you go to harvest it. You don't harvest it when it's still in its young state, like sweet corn. Now, you can eat field corn like you eat sweet corn, but most people choose not to, because sweet corn's, well, like the name says, is a whole lot sweeter.
Who was we watching this morning?
Salty Dog?
Yeah, I got so tickled. He's out there eating his sweet corn, trying it. Made me that much more excited to get on.
I know. See, we haven't been able to pull no sweet corn yet, but it's right behind y'all on the camera there, and it's looking great. Like, that's possibly one of the prettiest patches of sweet corn we've had in a while.
I thought I would say that every year.
I know we do. Well, corn's just pretty. And so, for those of y'all who might be new or maybe not completely kept up with everything, and I know how it is, it's hard to keep up with what a couple on YouTube is doing. So, we roughly have, I think it ended up being about 2.5 to 3.5 acres of field corn planted. About a half acre of that is my landrace mixture that I've been working on for several years, trying to get the way I want it. And it looks really good, y'all.
It really does.
I did have to
coming on with it.
Well, I did have to replant a section of it, and it still didn't come up good. I think it was due to some issues with the planter. I think I finally have that planter figured out, but I think that's the problem. Look at that one.
That's a good one. So what we do with our field corn, in case you hadn't been around since last year, it's mostly animal feed and a little bit for cornmeal, which it don't take hardly none, you know.
If a person wanted to grow it for themselves for cornmeal, they could
have
plant them a few rows in the
you have your
garden.
patch like that sweet corn right there, and I think you'd have, I mean, it don't take about a couple of years to have enough to, 2 or 3 years to have enough to make a pan of bread. But mostly we feed it to our pigs, and hopefully with Andy planting this much, we'll have enough to feed to our cows this time too.
So I guess we're going to move on down to this other bed here and go ahead and pull these fingerling potatoes.
I can't believe how many red potatoes it was. Yeah. As many as I've dug out of there.
That's pretty good for a 4x8 raised bed, and the potato vines look terrible.
Yeah.
Filled up this whole wash pan there. Now these, though, we're going to probably have some to throw away because there's a bunch to the top.
Are we doing all of them?
What?
The whole bed.
Look at that.
Oh my gosh.
And look where they're already sprouting back out. Why?
There's like 100 potatoes under there.
The vine's not even dead yet, and they're already trying to resprout. I don't get it. Look at that. All of that's out from one plant.
Let's pull. See if
another one's is just
mine's is as spectacular as yours was.
Look at them falling out of there.
Yeah, it's a pile of them. They're still making them too. Look.
Yeah, but what I can't understand is why they're already trying to re-sprout.
Let's see how many.
And the vines ain't even dead.
Let's see how many is under there. Them some pretty vaginas.
They are. Them might be some of the prettiest fingerlings we've ever had.
Yeah, they're really pretty. They're close to the ground though. It ain't none of them deep. I don't feel none down in there.
Yeah, that seems typical.
Yeah, but they are. I don't know. Are these the purple ones that's purple inside?
I don't know.
I don't know either. They sure are purple.
I see that. These potatoes here were the ones that was bought in that mixed bag from Tractor Supply.
Right.
So I think there may end up being some regular looking fangling potatoes too. Let's see that.
See them all in there? Hanging in there?
That's so cool. All right, let's get these things dug.
All right.
I have to say that the store-bought fanglings produced way better than the fanglings we saved from last year.
Yeah.
Don't you think so?
Yeah.
Keep in mind though, the bottom of that pan is all red potatoes. That whole thing is not
No, it's just what you see like on top.
Yeah, just what you see on top.
Yeah.
So I think at this point, these raised beds out here, once we dig those Yukon Golds, I'm probably going to top them off with something, whether it be some more compost or something. I don't know what it's going to be yet. And I'm just going to let these lay till probably fall crops.
Mm-hmm.
I think this would probably be where we put our fall crops. So that'll give that compost that's in there more time to break down even more. And I'm going to use that opportunity to having them free to add more to it. So that can be breaking down between now and then too. But that's not going to get done today. We don't have enough time for all that today. Anyways, I'm going to show them the sweet corn before we go away from here. Because y'all, I am so proud of this sweet corn. I wish you'd look across there. But just look at that. Not bad looking ears. This is Honey Select here. Gonna come out here and pull these carrots.
Well, we might ought to. They're trying to bolt, and carrots will get like hard and you can't eat them.
Once they bolt, yeah, we got one going to bloom right there. I want to let them go to seed and see what they do. Replace
your weed seeds with things you can eat. Remember we heard somebody say that years ago.
It was at the HOA.
I know, but
conference.
I don't remember who it was.
I don't remember the guy either. Wow. That's a long one to be in the ground.
It is.
Look at that.
Look at this one.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man. I mean, some people are probably laughing at this right now, but...
Oh, I know they are. Now, that one must have hit a rock.
That's more our speed right there. That's what we usually grow. It's got 4, 5, 6 legs.
Look at this
Look at that. We should have planted them earlier so that it had longer time to grow, I think.
Mama.
Yeah, these were experiment. That's the best one I've seen yet.
Yeah, that one's a little bit pitiful.
You want this one?
What one? No.
Okay. I cannot believe this.
These carrots struggled for so long.
I know. Did we even thin these?
No, we never thinned them, not one time, because they kind of came up pretty thin anyways.
Ooh, that one, I think that ain't no good, honey.
Which one?
Look at it. It's like...
I bet that ain't no good. It was getting ready to go to seed.
It's busted. Oh, my God.
Dang, Jacob, show the camera. That's a good looking carrot.
It is.
That's almost the perfect carrot.
Well, the good thing is the horses don't mind taking care of the little ones for us. And there's 2 youngins that don't mind letting the horses take care of them. Now that'd be cool.
That's a good one.
Started having carrots come up every year.
Well, I may just try to save the seeds from them.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then we'll replant those instead of the seeds I have.
Another one.
What about
Look at this one.
I feel like that one right there is getting ready to go too, as tall as it's got. So
Look at this
I'll
one.
leave him.
That's a good one.
Look at that one, Jacob. That's the only thing when you grow an in-ground carrot. I mean, you might get some crooks and stuff in it, but
most of the good ones that I've pulled have a crook.
yeah, that crook.
Look at that one. he hit a rock.
Look at there.
Man.
Planted these with the Earthway planter, and planted them probably a month too late.
Yeah.
This one's the perfect straight all the way down.
And they took off so slow. You gonna leave them for the horses?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have more too.
I really didn't think they was gonna make anything. And
Maggie!
I have to search through mine.
Here, let's see.
That's surprising.
It is.
See that one right there is going to flower. I'm going to leave that one, that one. There's one in amongst this big zucchini, that one, and one right over there to go to seed.
I would say like one carrot bloom probably has like as little as them seeds are. There's no telling how many seeds you get out of it.
Probably right. Those 4 carrot blooms right there will probably give us more seed than we can plant in a few years.
Yep.
But
they never got harvested no carrot seeds.
no, we haven't.
Have you checked the October beans lately? They're probably gonna start getting close here before long.
Oh, they're getting here.
Oh yeah. Still ain't there yet. Not
No.
these anyway.
That pod will start turning white.
It'll be pink and white.
The pink will still be there, yeah, but they turn pink and white.
Pink and white instead of pink and green.
That's a pretty row of October beans out through
You're
there.
darn right. And they're big.
Probably the best looking ones we've had.
Yep, I'm just patiently waiting.
All right, let's go pull this other bed of carrots,
All right.
see what it brings us. Then I guess we'll come back out here and pick tomatoes, right? And you said you had to pick some Kentucky Wonders.
Yeah, we'll pick the Kentucky Wonders while we're over there at the carrots. The
Okay.
tomatoes, I think it's just cherry tomatoes.
Well,
We don't
they
know.
need to be picked, though.
I love cherry tomatoes.
I know you do.
Yeah, that'd be good with supper tonight anyway.
That's right. For you, anyways.
Yeah. Look at how much the new grapevines have grown here along this fence. They must really like it here.
So, y'all know this is, if you're watching this video the day it comes out or the week it comes out, you know, this is the only video we'll have out this week. So, I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. When you watch this video, we will be currently taking a break. A very short break, but taking a break from YouTube. Don't worry about us, we're fine.
We'll be back to our regular scheduled program next week.
That's right. And once we come back at some point, it might not be the very next video, but at some point, we do plan on taking, and it's probably going to be a long video, but we plan on taking a tour of everything we've got growing right now because so
Including
much,
field corn, the
so
big
much has
potatoes.
changed.
Yeah.
And I'm sure by the time we actually get to the point of making that video, it's going to be changed even more. But gosh, y'all, everything looks so good right now.
Jacob's garden ain't doing nothing but rocking and rolling.
Tell me about it.
He's gonna outperform. I believe he's got the green thumb of his daddy.
Well, you know, I'm not knocking Jacob at all, but Jacob has not put a ton of effort into it. And he's been able to grow it like this. Like, I don't mean that nothing bad towards Jacob. I'm just saying that he's just been
It's not
able,
required it.
yeah, it's not required a ton of effort, and it's doing it.
So this is our other carrot box here. This was a old busted water trough.
I'm going to be surprised if we have a carrot in here that's as big as those were.
I know.
Because these are way too thick. We thinned them somewhat, but I feel like we somewhat got behind on that kind of stuff this spring. They're just going to be what they're going to be. If they're not big carrots, so be it. I mean, we'll feed them to the horses. Well, there's actually one in there bigger than I thought it was going to be.
It's so nubby.
That's,
The rest of them, don't even put them in there.
I won't. They can be horse food, right?
Yeah.
Look, we got one here going to bloom too.
You're gonna leave that one
I might, because it can reseed into
in
this
here.
bed.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Wonder why they're so short.
You look at all them caterpillars or something in there.
Them little short fat ones are good, ain't they?
Yeah.
I don't understand where these white carrots come from. These were all supposed to be Denver, is it Denver 20? Denver I don't know,
something.
whatever they are. There ain't supposed to be no white carrots in there.
Look, there's a good one.
Well, look at there. Look at this. I can't even pull one. You have to pull like a whole mat of them.
I'm trying to be gentle. Yeah. Some of these ain't worth fooling with.
So what will you do with these carrots to keep them?
Well, I like to can them And maybe I'll have enough this time, but remember in the ones we overwintered, it was not enough. It was not enough for me to can, so I just froze those.
Oh.
No, I didn't even freeze them. Jacob ate on them. I was just enough to eat on.
Is any of them what you want to keep?
Just let them be horse carrots.
They are so thick. That was one thing I really liked about planting them with that earthway planter. Is
it kind of controlled how...
Yeah, it really done a good job of keeping the seeds the right distance apart. These right here we just scattered in with hand by hand.
Well, that was about as expected.
Yeah, the ones in ground was a whole lot better, but they were a whole lot thinner too. Yeah, they were a lot thinner, so that makes a huge difference on carrots. But this little bed does make a good carrot bed.
But I feel like every year our carrots get a little better and a little better.
Yeah, we, in the past, like I'm talking years ago, we never really successfully grew it.
No, and we to the point that we were like, you know what, we ain't even growing carrots no more.
Yeah, so we went for several years and didn't grow any.
This whole pile right here is for the horses, and then there's a pile out yonder too. Okay.
Here. I got this one for me.
But because of last year's hard freeze and it killed back all the vegetation on the carrots that we overwintered, I don't think we're going to try to do that again this year. I think we're just going to, like, we won't plant carrots again until next spring, I guess. Look up in there. Free food right there, ain't it?
100%.
100% free. It don't even have fertilizer on it.
This is kind of what we were talking about a while ago, making your weeds actually something you can eat.
That's right. Because these beans have just about been like a weed this year, ain't they? They've come up everywhere.
Everywhere, and finally we just let these grow. These are Kentucky Wonder pole beans, and they are our favorite to eat fresh, as fresh beans.
Y'all know how us kind of people are. We like putting the meat in with our green beans. Well, these Kentucky Wonders, for whatever reason, I feel like whatever piece of meat you put in them, they soak it up. Like they taste just like that piece of meat.
I like it too because they got them big beans in them.
Got the what?
Got them big beans in them.
Oh, look up in here in this blackberry. Look what a pot of bean. Look at that. That's a pretty bean.
That is pretty. Yeah, we'll just fill up my little colander here, and that should be good.
You just want enough for a meal?
Yeah, just enough to cook tonight. That's all I'm after.
There you go. Man, there's some pretty ones buried up in here.
I picked the prettiest ones I picked the other day was up in there. Let me look down here. Oh yeah, here's some too.
There's some blackberries.
Yeah, I know. That's some pretty ones.
Now that's a good one.
Because I done eat one too down here.
Somebody tell me what causes these little white spots. Right there. What causes that on a blackberry? They taste fine. I think I read somewhere that it was sun scald. But I don't know. Look way up under yonder at the beans. I love it. It's an organized jungle.
I don't know if organized even goes in there.
Yeah, I know. There's nothing organized about it, is it?
It's just a jungle.
This right here would drive some people crazy.
I think it's cool because it's free. And we ain't done nothing to it.
And look at this. That blackberry was buried up under everything, and it don't have the first bit of that white spot on it. Look at the beans up in there. Golly. Maybe since blackberries typically grow in an overgrown jungly type mess, maybe this is how they should be. With vines growing over top of them. Shades them out so the berries don't get scalded.
Well, that makes sense. Hear me?
Yeah. I got focused on the berries now.
Yeah, I was standing over here eating some too.
There's another bean. Up in there's one. You really have to hunt for these, don't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna wait to make my, them must be our cayenne peppers.
Yep. I
I'm
was
gonna,
wondering if we planted a cayenne. There's your answer. We did.
I'm gonna wait and make my chow chow. I'm waiting on these. Cause I've got peppers coming in, but
I want to show you the cucumbers.
the habaneros made it last year.
Oh, them habaneros look good this year too.
Yeah.
Look at our cucumbers. They have really took off in these raised beds. They're doing great.
I feel so like, I'm like, I don't have any cucumbers still.
You got one coming. We are filthy, honey. It's all over your neck.
Well, you know what?
When you sweat and working in the dirt, it's kind of hard not to get dirty.
That's right.
I got to get out here and do a little bit of weeding. The crabgrass has just been terrible. Ain't been long done that. But where we don't have no mulch down in these beds, crabgrass has really been kind of hard to keep out this year. And before anybody asks, the reason we don't have mulch in these raised beds is because last year we had a terrible, terrible issue with bugs on these on these peppers.
It come back to bite us bad.
It was awful. And once we done away with our mulch last year, that problem went away. So this year I did not mulch my pepper plants, and so far,
yeah, we probably won't ever mulch them again.
yeah, these are the prettiest pepper plants we've ever had for the for the end of June.
I think that'll be enough, don't you? Especially if I add potatoes to them.
That's right. Y'all.
Look, I can't bring myself to pick this pepper just yet. Just come here.
Oh, that one?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful poblano. I think that's the beauty to having stuff growing everywhere. As we've been out here working in the garden, but at the same time snacking the whole time we've been here. So how does it get any better?
And it's so good. When it's hot outside, I think that's when them berries are the best, because even though you're not like out here with a cup of water, like it kind of quenches you a little bit.
So a little bit of time has passed since you last seen us here. But I think we're going to work on planting this corn. I've got some raised bed soil here that I'm just going to top off these beds with. I don't typically like to use bag soil. However, I'm pretty sure that it probably doesn't have any weed seeds or anything like that in it. So I'm just going to put like a top layer on our beds, and I'm hoping that it'll somewhat act like a mulch and be like weed free, and we won't have a really big weed problem in these two beds we're going to use. I will say that I think corn's actually going to work out pretty good out here because we do have the drip irrigation.
Boy, it's got a little hot right here.
It is, ain't it, down here in the sun?
Yeah.
I believe one more bag will do it. So I think I'm going to put this on. I know it's going to be a little bit tight, but I believe I'm going to make my rows 2 foot apart. So we'll start right there, right along the edge. I know most of the time you plant sweet corn on, say, like a 30-inch row, something like that. But we're going to go just a little bit closer. Since we have irrigation, I will be able to, we won't have quite the water competition in here. And I think it'll still have plenty of room. Yeah, there's not many seeds in here at all, so I may not be able to plant.
Much as you think.
Yeah. I'm going to plant them about 6 inches apart. I mean, that's about the setting that's on my planter, so I figured that'll work here too.
I'm kind of excited to try it. I mean, I don't know.
I'm excited to grow it in a raised bed.
I don't know that I've ever eaten it.
I'm not near as excited about the corn itself as I am just to grow some in a raised bed. Because there's lots of people who say that corn takes up too much real estate to grow it in a raised bed and you don't get enough out of it. And I can totally see that because, you know, right here, we're probably just gonna get enough to eat on.
I didn't realize this one was quite as low as it was. It smells good.
It does smell good. Just lay that right there, or hold it there. We won't fertilize this till
It
it's
starts
up.
coming up.
Yeah. One pack almost run out on that bed up there.
There we go.
There. I got just a little bit left. There's probably enough in there to plant maybe a half a bed. It ain't much. So this right here is probably going to be the only silver queen we have.
Yeah. It's down on the pack 60 to 90 days.
How many?
60 to 90.
Well, we're planting it this late in the year and it's already this hot. You know, it ought to.
Maybe closer to the 60 day.
Yeah, it ought to shoot up quick, especially since we got irrigation. I ain't gonna set this irrigation up today. I think today I'm just gonna take the water hose and water it in.
Okay.
But I will, at some point, put the drip line beside it.
Sounds like a plan.
Well, there you go. There's your silver queen. Hopefully it makes something.
Yep. We'll see.
We'll see. That's right. So to keep the crows from pulling this corn out of the ground, and if you don't know, crows will destroy a corn crop. You know, we've seen on my field corn, I put that avapale on there to keep the crows from pulling it up, but I didn't treat this with anything. We're going to use the bird tape.
Which, on the flip side, with the crows, I mean, I know we complain about them and stuff, but they're like buddies with our chickens.
And they keep
And
hawks
they
away.
help keep hawks away.
Yep. Crows are a good thing to have, but they can be a pest.
Yep.
So you can buy bird tape on Amazon, and this stuff surprisingly works really well. They're heading to the creek. They said it's hot. They ain't gonna help mom and daddy no more. They going to the creek.
Yep.
Play in the water. I don't much blame them. I'm a good mind to go join them.
I know. Boy, it'd feel good to get us a chair and sit there with your feet in the water.
I'll tell you.
Maybe we should go do that.
It's all of a sudden got hot out here. I ain't thought it was that bad all day till now.
Yeah, it's pretty.
But anyways, you can buy this off of Amazon. We'll put a link down in the description to it. But it does. It works. You just got to deal with putting it up. I'm going to use this tree as a post. What this does is it just flaps in the wind, or like any little breeze will make it move, and the glitter from it, I guess, just scares the crows away.
Well, and once the corn is like, what, a foot or so high, they won't pull it up nowhere.
No, well, yeah, once it gets about 6 to 8 inches, 8-inch corn's about the tallest I've ever seen a crow pull up. Now, a turkey, on the other hand, I've seen turkeys pull up corn that was a foot tall.
Well, Tiger ain't gonna let no turkeys get this close.
Yeah, it ain't no turkey. We ain't got to worry about a turkey. I'm just saying, in the field,
Yeah.
where you might actually have a turkey. Let's pull
you want
just
it
a little
tighter?
bit tighter.
I didn't realize I didn't have it no tighter than that.
Now, I couldn't imagine doing this on a big scale. It would be very aggravating.
But for the home garden.
But for the home garden, it works. You see how it flaps around? It needs to have some tension on it so it does what this one right here is doing. See, this one's just kind of hanging here. Out here in the main garden now, right there's our second crop of sweet corn coming on.
Come here. I looked at these. I thought
Did you see a cucumber?
No, look. Look here. It's about to get eat too. I finally got one.
Ah, that's a pretty one.
I know. It's perfect.
Y'all, I am a little bit concerned though, because Look at that. Already.
It's already got the disease on it.
Already. But the ones in the raised beds look great, so maybe we can, I don't know. All right, let's go check these tomatoes out because it's hot on this side. There ain't a lick of shade over here. The beans have finally decided to grow up their teepees here. These right here on the end, I see some red ones.
I don't know if them are ready, but I know out on the other end they are. Just had me a nice salad. I just had me a cucumber.
And a mater.
Had me a tomato to go with it.
Let me get by you here.
That was a good one for a cherry tomato.
These are our volunteer cherry tomatoes, ain't they? You want
Yeah, these are the tomatoes we have no idea what none of them are, so.
Go show them what they look like. Because look at this. Now look at this. Same plants. Look at the difference.
I got one down there like that. Look, see right there's a, almost looks like a.
It looks like a miniature Cherokee purple.
These four right here all come off the same plant, but we don't know what they are. They came up as volunteer plants, and we just decided we would plant them. Well, because they're free. Why not?
They're making some pretty tomatoes. Like, these look like regular old cherry tomatoes under here. But those dark ones, I can't figure out what they would have been crossed with to be dark like that. Oh, there's a pile of cherries right there.
Yeah, but I want you to look at the shape of them. Look, this is what I wanted you to see.
What in the world?
Ain't that cool? And they're really good. I ate one out here yesterday. Now those almost put me in the mind of those Italian tomatoes we planted at one time that my friend gave us.
They do, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Those were a type of sauce tomato.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but look at how it's shaped. Nothing's cracked, but
There ain't no telling.
but they got these have
Let me get a good look at these.
They look like big tomatoes except they're little.
That is the craziest tomatoes
And
ever.
they are like sweet.
I'm going to show y'all a little bit of a recap on what we picked out of the garden today. Megan found her a few more cucumbers. That's all the tomatoes. All of these right here, tomatoes that you see are from volunteer tomatoes, except for that. And that's Cherokee Purple, first one we've got this year. These San Marzanos here are from ones that also came up voluntarily. The green beans are from volunteer green beans. Then, of course, the potatoes are from ones we planted. And the carrots are ones we planted. But anyways, if you ask me, that's not too bad of a picking there.
Oh yeah, not counting our free blackberries we got this morning.
Oh yeah, and the blackberries. That's right.
To go in our blackberry cobbler.
I forgot about the blackberries we picked.
So I'm thinking what I'm gonna do, which is probably ain't gonna make it to the video, but I'm gonna do green beans and new potatoes. That'd be good together. And I think I'm just gonna do canned ribs. That's what I'm thinking, something easy. And see, that's one thing I like about fresh green beans too. Boy, I just put them in there and just let them go.
You just let them cook.
Yeah.
Fresh ones you cook quite a bit longer.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Canned ones you just warm them up.
Yeah, but them fresh ones,
They have to cook a long time.
I'm gonna tell you, if you're gonna make good, freshly picked green beans, the way that we like them anyway, you cover them in water, and I like to cook the water out of them about 2 times.
So you pretty much
I mean, you just cook them plumb to death.
Yeah.
Then, yeah. And so, like, the potatoes, I won't add in there till maybe the last, 30 minutes. But all together, them green beans will probably simmer for 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never realized fresh ones cooked that long.
Well, if you don't cook them that long, which a lot of people probably don't like them cooked that long because they don't like mushy green beans. I've heard a lot of people, in the comments and stuff on the videos.
We do. I won't eat a green bean that ain't mushy.
Yeah. Me either. That's the way I just like them just cooked plumb to death. That's the only way I know how to put it.
I'll tell you what, it don't feel too bad sitting on this porch.
Yeah, it ain't too bad if you ain't out doing something.
You get out there in that sun, it'll cook you.
Yeah, it's right. That's for sure. People ask, sometimes I get so tickled, ask about what we do in the wintertime. Well, them pigs keep us pretty darn busy in the wintertime, don't they?
We don't get much of a break at all. You know, I mean,
well, I'm going to say February. We get a break. The month
January and February slow.
I wouldn't even say January because your birthday's in January. And Maggie's birthday is in January, and we're still making bacon in January.
Well, that's true.
And,
Because even though the pigs are done, we still got the after effects.
Yeah. So I wasn't, because I used to think that too. And last January I actually paid attention, and I was like, no, the break does not come till like February, maybe end of January.
Yeah. Well, one thing about it, we never get bored, do we?
That's right. I think that's part of the problem in this world, though.
People have too much time on their hands.
People has got too much time on their hands, too much time to think, too much time to worry about what somebody else is doing.
You brought up a good point. That's actually something I've been wanting to say on a video.
Oh,
I'm actually glad you done it. No, it's nothing bad. But I've been thinking a lot about this lately because I have a lot of friends who stay in touch with the political world and all the stuff going on in this world all the time. Like they eat, breathe, and sleep it. Like they study it all the time. And they stay stressed out all the time. Like it's constantly. They're never happy because they're constantly worried about everything that's going on. But you know something? If you turn off that news, you quit, or at least if you quit looking at that kind of stuff on social media, like if Facebook picks up what you typically look at.
Yeah.
I never see anything about what's going on in the world.
Do
on
you
Facebook.
know what comes across my Facebook all the time?
There's no telling.
No, remember the other day you were laughing at me. You're like, I guess I ain't got to worry about you. Just cows and horses.
That's right. Yeah, that was right. But back to my point. Facebook knows what you like to look at. It picks it up from what you actually stop and look at. So quit looking at that kind of stuff on Facebook. If you didn't see that stuff was going on, you'd never know it.
Well, the thing about it is, because I know somebody's probably going to say, well, you need to be up to date on the happenings and stuff, but I'm just going to tell you like this. It ain't nothing I can do about it anyway.
That's exactly right. There's nothing we can do to stop anything.
If it was something the stuff that I try to worry about, especially since I've gotten older, Andy helps me with this, is the only things that I can control or do something about. Because if not, you just worry yourself to death about everything.
Yeah, because the funny thing about it is, y'all, I used to be married to one of those people who stayed up to date. She worried about it all the time.
I don't know. Till about, 2018, I think it's probably when
And I would come home and
It was before COVID. I was finally like, you know what?
Yeah,
I get too mad at this stuff.
I'd come home and tell her, like, you're upset over something you got no control over.
Yep. If you just working in your garden or watching somebody else work in their garden, it is a whole lot less stressful.
It is. and the key, I think, to it is just stay busy.
Yeah.
If you stay busy, you don't got time to be sitting down watching the local news.
And I understand there's some people ain't able to stay busy.
Of course. But I'm talking these are young, well-bodied people that are capable.
They got too much time on their hands.
They got way too much time on their hands. They're the type of people that go to work, and when they come home from work, they don't do anything else except maybe mow their yard. Mm-hmm. And when you're like that, you have too much time on your hands because at that point you begin to worry about things. You begin to find problems that ain't even problems. Like they wouldn't have been a problem until you made it a problem. I don't know, but
I ain't understood not being bored though and being able to be like that, because I feel like even if we didn't have like a garden,
you still have something to do.
There's always something to do. Always stuff to do in the house or outside or wherever. There's always, you can find something to do.
An old timer told me one time. He said, if you've got a house and a piece of land, you've always got something to do.
Yep.
And he said you can work 24/7 and you've always got something to do.
That's the truth. You just got to do it.
You just got to do it.
Yep.
But,
well, that's pretty good. I tell Andy all the time, I'm like, one of these days you're going to be like this big motivational speaker. Get off your tail and go do something.
Well, I listen to a lot of motivational type people. And so I guess sometimes their way of thinking and their way of speaking
I know, but you have a good way of coming across on it. But we want y'all to be encouraged from these videos, and that's one reason we even started doing it, was to encourage people.
Well, I think my biggest thing when we first started was I wanted to show people that you can work full-time jobs and do this, because there's so many people on YouTube who
I'm going to tell you, when we started, we were both working full-time jobs.
Yeah. I mean, we were away from home 5 days a week at least, and still done, not to the scale we do now. I will throw that out there, but pretty darn close.
It was close, yeah.
We were pretty close.
Lot. I had a memory pop up. I meant to tell you this. You know how your memories pop up on Facebook? Mm-hmm. It was 2020, and it said, and I had a bushel of green beans sitting in there on the steps. and it said something about worked a 12-hour shift, come home and picked a bushel of green beans, gonna string them to can them in the morning or something like that. And I was like, look at there, ain't that something? Because a lot of people you see, you know, they've quit their jobs and they're like, you know, this is what I do now.
Like, we're going to give it all up and we're going to start homesteading. And I mean, that's fine. If you can financially do that, y'all, that is awesome.
But back
we
then,
were not at that point where we could not do that.
No. But my big thing was when we started growing all this garden, this ain't even pertaining to YouTube. When we started growing all to the extent we're growing now, when I was working, is my goal or our goal was that I could be home with the kids more. And I sit down, y'all, and I crunch numbers and I cut down our phone bill. You remember that?
Yeah,
and we only had like 2 gigabytes of internet because and because we couldn't get internet here at the time, but we cut down all that and all this. And finally I got to the point, I said, okay, Andy, I said, if we can get our grocery bill down to this every month, I said, I think I can cut back to part-time. You remember that?
I think you went down to 3 days a week at that point. And that was before we were making any money at all off of YouTube.
Yeah.
The supplement, what we done was done away with the grocery bill by growing stuff.
And growing it as cheaply as we
we
could, because
Exactly.
I'll be flat honest with y'all, and y'all may not see that now, but there was a time in our life that I was counting change at the grocery store.
I remember you doing that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, I was counting every penny. So don't look at us and think that we ain't been there, because we have been. But my children and being here with my children,
It was worth it.
it was worth it. And growing all this food and everything, that's how one way I was able to, you know, we were able to do that.
And we were mainly living off of my income.
Yeah.
And things were tight, even though I had my own business. And I mean, we were going through some really good times with the business. But got a guess now.
What? Oh.
You. But at that time, like, we were using, it was taking everything we were making to live.
And then, but that turned the YouTube to what it was. You know, we're saying, you know, we're going to show people that they can do this.
Yeah, because we were in a tight spot. Not only, I ain't going to say we were very tight financially. We did count pennies and stuff like that, but we were never at the point where we were like, hey, we're going to lose everything.
I'm also a tightwad, too.
And you're a tightwad, so that makes a difference.
Yeah.
That helps a lot. Well, you did count change to go to the grocery store. I do remember that.
I know.
But, you know, we made it work. And even back then at that point, like, YouTube for us was never to make money on. Like, we
No.
never once made a video to say, hey, you know what, we could eventually get rich at this. That was not the goal at all. Honestly, it never even crossed our minds. We made videos from 2019 all the way up to probably 2021.
At least.
Maybe
It was probably-
22?
I was going to say 22, probably.
Yeah, probably 22 before we ever actually made what you'd call a legit paycheck off of YouTube.
But that was never, like you said, that was never our goal, though. Like, our goal, we wanted to encourage people. And I catch myself doing it even now to this day, and Andy, too. You know, you mentioned, you know, I'd like to grow a little garden or something. You know, we're like, you can do it. Let me tell you how you can do this. Do it. Yeah.
I have friends all the time say, well, I'm thinking about planting a little bit of this and that. I'm like, all right, let me show you how to do it.
Yeah.
You know, here's what you need to do.
That's just our thing. That's what we like to do, and we like to share it with people.
And so I think now that our YouTube, at that point, yeah, we were just pretty much to say, hey, you can still do this kind of stuff and work full-time jobs. And we were trying to teach people how to do a lot of it too, because when we started doing all this, Megan had no idea how to can anything, how to cook anything. When we first got married,
yeah.
we were eating.
We were living off Hamburger Helper,
Yeah,
sir.
and we finally got tired of Hamburger Helper. I was like, we got to figure out we got to do something different.
We got to figure out what we're doing here.
But, you know, at that point, like I said, we were trying to just show people and encourage people that you can do it and work jobs. I mean, but now at this point, I think we're a lot more about the encouragement than anything.
Yeah.
Because back then
Motivation.
we did a lot of how-to videos, how to do this, how to do that. Nowadays, yeah, I mean, we do show how to do stuff.
We'll show how we do it anyway.
Oh, yeah, we show how we do it. That's a
Yeah.
good way to put it. Like,
Yeah.
we show how we do stuff.
Yeah.
But, and how we do stuff is not how everybody else is going to do it, and everybody else is going to do something different from what we do, and that's fine. That's what the world makes the world go around, is people are different.
Yeah. And
But-
what works for us may not work for somebody.
Exactly. That's true, too. But nowadays, I think a lot more of our inspiration to keep making videos is hearing how we've inspired everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
We have the Facebook group, the True Grit Appalachian Ways community page. And if you don't know we have that, there's always a link in the description to it. But, on there is where everybody gets together and they share what they're doing. Because, we share what we're doing through YouTube. Well, everybody who follows us can share what they're doing on there. And we always have new people joining, like, constantly. And they'll post pictures of their garden. They'll post pictures of
what they got out of their garden.
I've seen people posting pictures of the hams they've killed.
Yeah.
I've seen, all that stuff, and everybody on there, not everybody, but there's a lot of people on there who say, y'all inspired us to do this.
Yeah.
And that's
payment enough, right?
That's
there.
our big why. That's why we continue to do YouTube.
Yep. That right there, to me, anyway, is, I don't know.
If we didn't make a dime off of YouTube, now
it's worth it.
That would be worth it right there.
Yep.
To continue doing videos. Lordy me, well, we have probably rambled on enough, honey.
Yep, I gotta get my beans strung, get them going before I go feed these cows.
Yeah, and we gotta cut the tops out of them carrots too.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll do that today or not.
No.
I don't know.
Man, we got so much stuff left to do this season.
I don't know. But anyways, guys, I guess that's going to about wrap up today's video. Appreciate you if you stuck around this long and hung out with us today. It's been a hot one, and, well, it ain't done yet. But
it ain't done yet, but the clouds have come over. It's cooled off quite a bit out here.
Yeah.
That looks like a thunderstorm cloud over that way. Yeah.
Those do too.
Them look like thunderheads back there too. But anyways.
Yep, we'll be back to our regular schedule on Monday. We hope y'all have a happy 4th of July, a safe 4th of July. And anyways, till we see y'all on the next one.
Y'all have a good one.
Have a good one.